What's going on, everybody? This is Island Hopper TV podcast, and today we're going to do debunking myths about China here in 2026. I went from Hong Kong to Macau, back to Hong Kong to Shenzhen, then I went from Shenzhen to Guangzhou. From Guangzhou, I went to Chongqing. I stayed a couple days in Chongqing, then I stayed a couple days in Chengdu. Okay, I took high-speed rail all the way. I didn't take a single plane the whole way, and then I went from Chengdu to Xi'an, where the terracotta soldiers are. Okay, from the terracotta soldiers, I went to Beijing. From Beijing, I went to Shanghai. I saw the Great Wall of China in Beijing, by the way. From Shanghai, walked around the Bund. It was a bit rainy the whole time I was up there around Hangzhou, and then I went to Suzhou. From Suzhou, because of all the rain, even in April, I decided to come back down to Shenzhen, and now I'm back in Hong Kong. I'm just giving context. I've been over in the China region for over a month and a half time frame. You know, the first time I ever went to China was back in 2018, and I would say things have changed. I've got a 10-year visa. I've had a 10-year visa since April of 2018. It expires in April 2028, and I intend to extend that because I really enjoy going to China. And I wanted to share some information because, like you guys, I also, didn't know what to expect and thought everything that I was reading on the news or heard in the media was true. And that's the whole point of debunking the myths. So the number one thing is about safety. There's a whole bunch of reasons why someone would think China was unsafe because of what they've heard on the news, but a lot of it just seems like an overstretch or an overreaction by the officials or the government or something like this. I mean, this is the most common reason that foreigners are scared to go to China, because they think that they're going to get in trouble with the authorities for something. And this is just really not true. I'm not saying that it doesn't happen, but from my experience, I would walk by police or authorities all the time, and they were always very friendly. They were doing their job. I mean, China's a very safe place. They have a lot of surveillance, there's cameras everywhere, and it just keeps getting more and more safe. It's one of the safest countries in the world. Violent crime and petty theft and scams, they're all going down. Maybe it used to be high before, but if you talk to any of the Chinese, and I've talked to many of the Chinese about it, they said maybe 10 years ago, 20 years ago, that was the case. Nowadays, China is a very safe country, and it continues to get more and more safe. Okay, so you can make the argument that the surveillance is, big or aggressive or too much, but at the end of the day, it's helping to make the place more safe at the end of the day. That's been the result. People there are very friendly. They want to help you. I didn't have any issues with safety there. So walking around generally safe at night and in the evening in the mega cities. It doesn't matter if it's dark at 10 o'clock at night. You don't really feel like there's predators out there hunting you like you might feel in some other places around Europe or, the United States. It's true. Like there's some cities in the U.S., New York at night, 11 o'clock, if you're a lady, you probably don't want to walk around New York or Philly or Los Angeles because it's not safe. That's not the case in China. So let's just put that one out there. I'm not saying it's perfect, but you get the idea. Now there's this myth about innovation. So, I went to Shenzhen. That's I would say the tech capital of China. It's like the Silicon Valley of China. And China has this reputation of, I guess, maybe copying Western technologies. And what I've seen in particular with companies like DJI, for example, I use their cameras actually. I have a DJI Osmo Pocket 3. I'm going to get an Osmo Pocket 4. GoPro used to have the market capitalized, or used to have the market cornered. Right now, DJI is the innovator, okay? It's not GoPro. When was the last time a GoPro 12 or a GoPro 13 or a GoPro 14 had any sort of innovation? Or even when GoPro tried to create the drone, okay? Everyone's flying DJI drones. There's not even really a competitor, and I'm just using this as one example. But if you look at like the social media, like TikTok was created by a Chinese company. Facebook and Instagram were so scared of them they had to like copy things that TikTok was doing. Now, what that points out is that maybe back in time when factories were built in China in the 1990s, that those technologies were being imported into China, but nowadays China is an innovator themselves, okay? And when it comes to AI, they've got AI tools in China that you don't see in the US. When you talk about Siri or something like that, or Hey Google on your phone, I don't want to activate it on my phone sitting here, but whenever you say something like that, you can't have a conversation with Google or Alexa, right? You cannot. In China, they have AI tools where you can literally have a full blown conversation with the AI bot. I have no idea why the US or the Western world doesn't have that, but that's just something that I noticed. I think it's called Dabao or Debao, something like that. Dubao. That's the name. You say, Ni hao Debao. So, and at Debao, you just start having a full conversation. I'm just using AI as another example. I'm not saying that, there's not technology companies like Google or Amazon or Microsoft that just do amazing things. They're great innovators in and of themselves. What I'm saying is the idea that to say that China doesn't innovate and is only copying isn't true anymore. And it maybe was true 20 years ago or something, but I don't know. I mean, I wasn't really paying attention to tech then, but I can tell you right now in 2026, anyone who says that all China does is copy, it's not true. They actually innovate. I mean, you go around their cities, even Shenzhen, you'll see like these motorbikes, electric motor scooters everywhere on the road. It's kind of crazy actually, because they're on the sidewalks and stuff. But like, where else do you go around the world where you see like this whole like electric scooter economy? Yeah, maybe electric bikes, but everyone it seems like has an electric scooter in Shenzhen. I've seen them in Beijing as well, but this is like very unique to China, I would say. I mean, I've gone to like Ho Chi Minh City and Saigon, and I've seen Hanoi. Everyone drives scooters, or even in Thailand, but they're all driving like gas powered scooters. These are electric scooters. I'm not saying that electric scooters were invented here, but it is what it is. I am in Hong Kong, by the way, for those of you who've been wondering. So I would just say that the nuance that China doesn't innovate, you can't really say that. Now let's talk about the foods. I'm back in Hong Kong. Hong Kong is different than mainland China. I would say the food in mainland China is just healthier and better. I feel it when I eat it. So I remember I was eating the meat here in Hong Kong, and I'm like, that's not the same kind of meat that I was eating in the mainland China. And I went on there and I was like, where does China get its meat? 90% of their uh, food comes from in Hong Kong comes from the U.S. And I'm like, that's where I've tasted that kind of beef before. That's where I've tasted that kind of chicken before. Because like in the U.S., when you eat the chicken, it doesn't have any bones. It's just like a big chunk of teriyaki chicken or whatever kind of chicken you're eating. Whereas in like other places around the world, you're getting real chicken because it'll have bones in there. Okay, like a perfect example would be like Hainanese chicken. You eat a piece of Hainanese chicken or Peking duck, there's bones in that. With a lot of the foods in the U.S. or whatever, you're not getting any bones. I mean, yeah, you might be eating a drumstick at KFC or a chicken wing or something, and there's bones there, but it's not like the real chicken. So it almost makes you wonder, is this real chicken, like a fake chicken? I'm just saying, like the food inside China, I felt healthier there. I was losing weight, okay? So even if you look around in China, there's not a lot of obesity. Sure, you get an occasional person who might be overweight, but if you go to the U.S., I mean, why are so many people in the U.S. obese? I would say it's not because Chinese are necessarily even that much more active physically or exercising more. Like I would say in the West, in the U.S., people are more physically active going to gyms. Sure, Chinese go to gyms and they do have gyms, but I think it's the food. So this idea that China, only uses greasy food full of MSG, mostly involves rice, and it's not healthy. I mean, look how many old people they have in China. I mean, obviously they're doing something right. So this idea that the food is just unhealthy is, I mean, you're going to have to get over that one, because it's really hard to say that it's unhealthy when, I mean, people seem healthier. People seem healthier, okay? And again, I'm not trying to put down the West. Everyone's going to see this and they're going to be like, "Oh man, you're just trash." No, 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 no. This is about just telling the truth. And if you can't handle the truth about what I saw and what I'm saying, then I don't know why. I don't know what's wrong with that. I mean, you could challenge it in the comments and tell me I'm wrong. That's great. I mean, I'd love to have the conversation with you, as assuming that I'm an open-minded person, you're an open-minded person, and we're just having this idea about things. I mean, I'm not saying that everything is perfect there. I'm not saying that everything is perfect anywhere, okay? And while we're on the subject of food, this one just irritates me so much because it's just pure ignorance and just not true at all. I mean, there might be some isolated cases, but this idea that they eat dogs in China. So I know there's going to be some people in the comments right now who are going to go, "Oh my gosh, yeah, right, blah, blah, blah." I see the comments. I mean, I posted a video of some dogs barking in Suzhou at a cafe, and then someone in the comments made, "Oh, do they eat those dogs there?" or something like this. And I was just like, that is the dumbest thing to say. Not one time in my 30 days that I was in China did I even see anything even close to dog meat or someone trying to sell dogs. Maybe it happened 20 years ago or something like that, and I'm sure it's possible. But did I see any like unique like dog meat markets? No, not at all. So I would say that that's pretty much a myth. Because I mean, people still to this day they'll comment like that. They'll say things like that. I'm not going there because of the way they treat dogs or the way like they treat dogs like babies. I mean, I would see like little dogs, like little poodles. Like they would put diapers on them, put clothing on them, put little sandals on them. I was like, that's so funny. You baby your dogs, But people thinking that they eat dogs. I heard, some people used to do it. I've heard about that, yeah, but it doesn't happen anymore. And if it does, it's like not anywhere you will see. You won't. This economic myth. So China is an affordable, cheap destination. People think, maybe 20 to 30 years ago it was cheap, and it still is cheap. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like if I wanted to get, let's just say, wonton noodle soup or char siu or some dish here in Hong Kong, I'm going to pay like twice the price, three times the price. Whereas in like China, I would say the average lunch for like a wonton noodle soup or something was around like 18 to 20 yuan. That's RMB. That's like $3 or $4. That's pretty cheap. If I rode the train, that's pretty cheap. If I took a Didi, that's pretty cheap as well. But it's not as cheap as everyone thinks it is. Okay, that's what I'm saying. So like this idea that it's just an affordable, cheap destination, especially in the tier one cities like around Shanghai or Beijing. I think their prices are going up, and it's still affordable. You're still going to get a lot of bang for your buck, still value, but it seems like it's going up in price. Okay, so this idea that it's just an affordable, cheap destination, just not true. I mean, it's going up in price, as with any place. But even if you talk to the locals, like the Chinese, they'll tell you like the price is going up. Uh, this idea that the cash is king myth. You should carry plenty of cash on your trip. I would say if you're one of those types of people that think that, China doesn't really use cash. They use Alipay and they use WeChat Pay. So if you're someone coming even from Hong Kong, Hong Kong still has a lot of coins and paper cash. Like, no, China, mostly QR codes, Alipay, WeChat Pay. That's like the big thing. Another myth, at least something that I thought was true about China that I realized wasn't, is that all of China is homogenous or the same. And, just like you're going to go around the U.S. and you can tell Florida is different than New York or New York is different than California, China still has that as well. Like, for example, I would say Beijing is just a totally different vibe than Shenzhen or Guangzhou. I mean, they're similar, but even the food, like just the food stands out as being different. Like in the north, in Beijing, Peking duck is very common. In the south, it's more about like dim sum or Cantonese food, which they have all over China, but it's not as common. Xi'an, for example, I got there and I was instantly like, wow, they have a lot of lamb skewers or beef skewers or chicken skewers. It was just a lot more barbecue where you didn't really see that. And then when you went down to Sichuan or Chongqing, it's all about hot pots or Szechuan peppers, pretty much in everything. And so you don't really see spicy foods in the north. You get what I'm saying? So, I mean, this idea that it's all homogenous or the same, I mean, just think about the western part of China where they have the Gobi Desert. Like, that's going to be totally different. I mean, even if you look on the map of China, you'll see the east part of China is like green. The west part of China is like brown. It's like deserts, the Gobi Desert. I mean, you're talking about even Tibet, or you go north, you got areas like Inner Mongolia, which is like grasslands. You got the mountains and the rivers around Chongqing and Sichuan and Chengdu. Chengdu's a bit more flat, but then as you go up into the mountains where the giant pandas are from, it's not the same. I mean, Chongqing is inside of China, but it feels like it's a whole different vibe than like Beijing or Shenzhen. It's so interesting. It's actually what makes China fun is the fact that it is so, unique and so different inside of the cities. I mean, I really like that. But yeah, as I went around, I mean, I really had a good time in China. And I would say if you're someone who wants to go to China, you should do it. You guys are asking about where's our other videos. You got to go to our main channel, Island Hopper TV. I did 10 travel guides for each one of the mega cities that I went to. See you guys over there. You can also watch another podcast I did about China. Click that link.